Welcome everybody to the 19th PB Med podcast. This is the first time Brett and I have tried doing this whole virtual thing, so you'll have to bear with us as we work through all these little technical difficulties. And actually, this is our second time trying to film this where we ran into some technical difficulties and the film shut off at certain points and whatever. But instead of just scrapping the whole thing like we did the first time, what we're going to do is cut this into two parts. Even though we planned on filming the whole thing in one giant take, we're just going to cut it in half and do a part one, and then in a few days we'll film again and cover the second half. So even though there's some cliffhangers, in this first part you'll hear about our favorites of the paddles that we've been testing, our least favorites, some new mains, and I think we actually got through one or two actual like individual paddles, and then part two will contain the rest of the paddles. Bear with us through the camera problems, and if there's any audio problems, just let us know with that too. But otherwise, let's just get into part one. Just when you thought we were down and out, here we are, Brett and Dustin, back with the PB Med podcast episode 19. I'm coming at you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Man, that's weird to say. It hasn't quite set in yet. And Brent, you're coming at us from?
Still in Durham, North Carolina, representing the Bull City down here. I have to say your background looks much more sick than my background. I'm pretty jealous of that.
That's a pretty cool poster you got back there. What does it say?
My wife made that for me. It's wood.
Nice job, Trish.
It's wooden, so it's like a wood thing that she made at some like craft night with the girls or whatever. It says "in my pickleball era." It's like a Taylor Swift or something reference. I'm sure somebody in the comments can let me know that. But yeah, it's cool. It's one of a kind, you know, one of one.
Yeah, one of one. I'm gonna go on record and say, nice job, Trish.
Yeah,
that's really great. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, I did like a little solo podcast a couple episodes ago, or I guess it's probably like one episode ago, where I took ideas from viewers. I tried a bunch, actually, just to kind of see what would work. And I ended up hiring a local graffiti artist to like spray paint back here. And it was one of those things where like I was going to start with like one 4x8 panel, and then it kind of turned into multiple, and then it turned into like this big old thing. And I'm glad I just kind of like told her a general idea of like colors and like maybe Pittsburgh theme. And I'm really glad that I left it to her artistic, gave her artistic freedom, because she like incorporated real like Pittsburgh things, real Pittsburgh bridges and buildings. And my son's favorite building, I'll put it on now, it's the PPG building, I think it's called, with like the spires. It's like made of glass. Anyways, it's all incorporated. So she did an awesome job, Jessica Geyer. So anybody else in here in Pittsburgh is looking for a really good job. She's done a bunch of like the local businesses and stuff too. There's a lot of graffiti and art and stuff around Pittsburgh, which is super cool.
Yeah, it looks sick. That's pretty awesome. She did an amazing job.
Yeah, it's a work in progress too. I would show more, but it's also kind of messy in here. She made me a sign too. I don't know if it's on screen, but like that little black, like empty portion up there. She did a cutout of like the Pickleball Medicine logo, and I need to put some lights behind it, but I've been too busy. Haven't gone around to it, but it's going up there soon.
I was wondering what that was. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that in the future.
You're like, I'm not going to comment on the big empty space back there.
Maybe that's part of the design. I don't want to question somebody's artistic expression,
Yeah. Well, this is the first time since we've done anything, or really even more than just very briefly spoken, since the freaking nerdy tourney, like whenever that was in like May. How are things, Brent? What's new, dude?
Yeah, it's crazy that it's been that long. Obviously we've sent some texts back and forth. But yeah, this is the most FaceTime I've gotten with you since was it almost a month? 2 months? Jeez.
Surprised you're even willing to show your face after all the bad things people have been saying about you after the nerdy tourney.
Yeah, they were just saying I was a terrible player and Dustin was much better than me.
Shitty player, they said. I tried to warn him. I said, look, guys, like, invite him, but he's a nice guy.
I go with the flow. whatever. He's not that great at pickleball, but he's a decent time.
Speaking of being good or bad at pickleball, what are you drinking today?
Oh, this is Wicked Weed, a blue raspberry burst sour.
Ooh.
It felt...
How have I not heard of that? Is it good?
That's really good. If you like sours, it really does taste like blue raspberry.
Ooh.
Like a sour blue raspberry. They're very...
Oh.
They could be dangerous if they were like a higher ABV, but they're only like 4.5%. So it's like a light beer. So you could drink quite a few of these and still be fine. Unlike the juicy IPAs we were drinking the last time we were together.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, we were cutting things on the podcast. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't do this, but we were. I've got myself some golden monkeys.
Oh, those are
and
good.
It's funny you bring up those. What were they? Bear huggers?
Yeah.
What were they?
Geez, I can't even remember. It was like 9% alcohol though. Something. I can't remember the name of the
whatever
beer.
they were. These are 9.5%. In that last podcast I did, I had gone to like a local store over here, and the owner was like, "Yeah, people here they drink Miller Lite." And I told people that they said that, and everyone's like, "Dude, no, that's so dumb." and so I got a golden monkey based off their recommendation, Belgian style triple ale. These are 9.5% as well, and they remind me a lot of those because they don't taste like overly, alcoholic for a 9.5%. Yeah. They go down smooth, and in fact, for the viewers, it took us, Brett and I, like an hour and a half to work out the technical difficulties of like doing this like remote today. So I feel pretty good for being on number 3 already. I honestly I'm not even okay. It's starting maybe a little bit to set in now that I say that, but
we've only got
like
great. An hour plus more to go. What could go wrong? You don't have a saw or anything out right now, do you? Do you plan on breaking out a saw at any point during this podcast?
I don't. Okay. Not right now. No, I commit to not using saws in this podcast right now.
Your wife will be very happy to hear that if she watches this back.
That's right. As will our neighbors.
And recording remotely is much harder than just showing up at your house, going down to the cricket cave and recording.
Cricket cave.
That was much easier. It was simpler life.
Those are good times, man. Yeah. Those crickets. I miss the crickets. Those poor guys. Hope they're doing good with the new tenants.
God.
I did want to announce one other thing. Did you see, I posted some game footage. I posted some stories. Have you seen the place, the indoor facility that I've been playing at here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I've seen it in a few of your clips.
Yeah, the Pickleball Warehouse. So I partnered with them.
Oh, you already got partnerships going? Look at you.
You're damn right I do, Brent. Yeah, we're wheeling and dealing over here. So I really, really like these guys. The owners are great. And there's really like kind of sort of 3 like indoor facilities here. And you know me, outdoors and heat like don't super get along well. And they probably never will, to be honest. So they're the only place that's like downtown. So they're the first place that I went to. And the locals here in Pittsburgh probably can attest to this. It's a pretty cool place. Like, have you seen the like graffiti and stuff they have on the wall? Yeah, I've had like people comment on videos. It's a cool place to play. And it's like separated by, advanced, intermediate, beginner skill set. It's kind of more geared towards like drop in. There's not a ton for like reserving courts. If you have like a set group of 4 you want to play with, there are a couple courts that they reserve for that, but really for like people visiting or people trying it, it's kind of geared towards that, like group play. So the purple courts, which clearly are the courts that I play at, are the advanced courts.
They felt bad and let you into the advanced courts.
You'd be between the purple and the green, which are the advanced and the intermediate. If you were with my group, they would grandfather you into or they would allow you to, to the purple.
That would be nice of them. I appreciate that. It almost sounds like the colors of karate belts. Like, is there a black belt court? Because that's going to be the court that I'm going after. Like, there's a purple belt court. There's a green belt court. Is there like a white belt court? It's what it reminds me of.
White belts are welcome, but there's like a white/black court. It's like a warm-up court.
Okay.
So You never know what you're going to get on that course.
You could get expert or beginner, one of the two.
Yeah, you just warm up right there. It's right by the purple courts. So for the locals who haven't been there, and even for those who are visiting now through the weekend, like whatever Sunday is, August 4th, it's their, I think it's their 1 year anniversary. If you mention it when you go, it's a free drop-in. So it's hotter than hell over here. If you want to play indoors and you're a local, or even if you're visiting, come on down. And it's a free entry if you mention their anniversary. You can tell them I said so. And if somebody new is at the front desk, which there won't be, put it on my tab. Whatever. Just come on down. It's a cool place.
Do they serve beer there? Because I'm coming up just to drink some beers on your tab.
Dude, Brent, come drink some beers anytime on my tab. They do sell, they got like Coke and Powerade and whatever, but they are gearing up for selling alcohol, if you know what I'm saying.
Nice. I like it.
I'm really interested for our first segment today, Brent. Let's do some rounds. How do you feel about that?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's talk about our new mains. And I think I'm actually excited both ways. I don't know. I have no idea what you've been maining over the last 2 months. There's been a lot of paddles coming out. And if you would have asked me a week ago, if we tried to record this a week ago, had some technical difficulties, I blame Brent.
I mean, it was mostly my fault. So I take it. I take responsibility.
It's two 30-plus-year-olds, whatever, trying to work computers and phones. Anyways, if you had asked me last week, it'd be different than what you asked me this week.
Ooh.
For the first time in several months, I've changed. But let's start with you, Brent. Tell me, in this week's Doing Rounds, what your new main is. Or is it the same?
We don't know. Yeah. So I admittedly have not been playing nearly as much as I was when you were in town because you left me, and you are my daytime drilling partner a lot of the times, and that's how we test the paddles and whatnot. So I haven't been playing as much. Maybe 2 days a week, which is I was up to 4 days a week, and that was kind of perfect for me.
That is surprising.
Yeah. So, my tried and true Pulse, I had been maining that for a while. With all these new paddles that came out recently, I've been flirting, been trying them out, been seeing what feels the best.
Yeah.
And right now, I am currently in I guess you could call it like a thruple, like a triangle right now with
Whoa. Okay.
The Pulse X and the Harmony X from Pickleball Apes. I every day I feel slightly different on which one I think is better for me.
Ooh.
So I guess it's still in the Pickleball Apes family, right? I don't know, the way Ivan designs paddles just works for me. I don't know what it is, but right now I am torn between those two options.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about maybe the Harmony later in the pod, but that's where I am now. Some contenders have come through, like the 11SIX24 Alpha 𝒂𝒂𝒊𝒏 𝑷𝒂𝒅𝒅𝒍𝒆. That one was good for a while. And there was another one I tried recently that I was like, this maybe could replace, but I haven't found anything that I consistently like as much as my Pulse and this new Harmony, which is still a little boring because I've been with the Pulse for so long, and it's still in the conversation. I feel like I'm not a proper paddle reviewer when I'm just sticking with the Pulse so long, but it's
let's just shove you in a corner with Isaac and his freaking Shogun. I actually think, I can't remember if he's moved on from the Shogun or not, but he made the Shogun for so long.
I know.
You and Isaac, you and your freaking 5'5" plus freaking cohort of weirdos, get the hell out of here.
I'll have to hit him up and see what his main paddle is these days. But you're right, he was the Shogun forever.
Yeah, there's so many good ones coming out too.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's still with that.
I've been tempted a lot by the full foam paddles. Lots of good full foam paddles are coming out and have already come out, and it's confused me a lot on what I actually prefer in a pickleball paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I feel you there.
But what about you, man? You said a week ago would have had a different answer than today. I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, Brent and I, for those of you who don't know, which is everybody but Brent and I, we queued up a week ago. I had like 4 days off in a row by chance, and then I've worked like every day since. So goodbye filming podcasts after some technical difficulties that night. I was queued up to say that my main at the time was the Mark II R2, which it had been for some time, and it still feels awesome. It really does. Even though it's Gen 2, so it's not even Gen 3 or Gen 4 full foam, I still play super well with it. It's kind of like Brent and I have a similar taste in like what we like with the higher dwell time, like softer feel with like a good compression, it still feels that way. And I'm like pretty happy to say that even since it's come out, months ago, I haven't felt any breakdown, any core crushing or whatever. Brent can attest. I hit hard. Like I hit way harder than Brent.
Yeah, for sure.
So if I don't break it, who does? No, I'm just kidding. I hit an average strength and the paddle hasn't broken. But anyways, I still love it. But as of late, I had tried this other paddle maybe one time before then, and I've played with it a few times since, and I have now begun to main the Gearbox GX2 Power, the hybrid shape.
Okay.
Man, this thing is sweet. I think a portion of me like upgrading this, obviously there's like a trend in moving towards power paddles. Some of them are just too much pop for me, an average high level player, whatever you want to call me.
Purple court guy.
And I think, purple greenish court guy, but it's hot up here. It's humid up here. So the ball is like moving slow with like control paddles. Definitely can't do it. Can't do control paddles. All court paddles, they've got to be good. They've still got to have like all the tools. But man, there's something special about these. I'll save like the fine details for when you and I cover it because you've tested it too. But I think this is a great improvement from the like regular GX2, initial models they came out with. These have like the perimeter of like, a ring of foam around them with the channels that the GX2s had. It feels nice. It's got the pop and power. It's got a little bit more feel, you know what I mean, than like the GX2s had where it was like super muted. It's not quite as muted, and it has that compression and that pop, but not too much that I can't control it. So I've been loving it. Been loving this paddle.
Yeah. I hit the elongated version and the hybrid just for a little bit, more the elongated of that GX2 Power, and was pleasantly surprised with that one. Interested to hear why you went hybrid over elongated, but we can save that for maybe the section of the pod.
Yeah. We'll save the deep details till then, but I only hope that like it, at least for me, it looks exactly the same. My one gripe is I wish they'd have changed the look a little bit because it looks exactly the same as the previous GX2 they came out with.
It really does.
And so, yeah, if people like look up Gearbox GX2 versus like, oh, what is it, the GX2 or the GX2 Power, or like they're both supposed to be power. I wish it would have looked a little bit different so people can more easily differentiate. But I think it's a significant enough change that it catapults it to my favorite of probably all paddles. And yeah, it's definitely my main right now. So
okay,
we'll circle back to that. Yeah, and that's a high, that's high praise and not something I thought I'd ever say with Gearbox. So
I know.
Good for you, fellas. Good for you, Gearbox.
Yeah. That was one of the paddles that I was flirting with recently, was the Gearbox elongated paddle. It feels really nice. So
yeah,
we'll save the rest for later.
Does.
But
we'll save some details there.
That's surprising. I would not have expected you to go for a Gearbox. But this, to be fair, this Gearbox feels a little different than like their past offerings. So I can understand it.
It does. It'd also be surprising to you, Brent, to see how much better I've gotten since we left.
Well, yeah, when you...
It seems
when you hit Ernie's and land in the kitchen, it's probably pretty easy to win points, Just,
I don't think I admitted fault in that.
I'm just saying.
That wasn't me directly.
There might be video evidence of you just like landing a good 6 inches in the kitchen and hitting an Ernie.
I don't think the people here know that about me yet. My point differential has gone up substantially since I left Chapel Hill.
It's easy to win points when you just cheat.
Whoever does that, you sons of bitches. Okay. So Brent knew that I'd do this first part. Favorite of the day. So we have well over 10. I mean, if we count them, we're somewhere between 10 and 20 paddles if you include all the shapes of paddles we're going to talk about today. But I didn't tell him until just barely. I'm going to hear Brent's favorite of the day and his least favorite of the day. We're going to put somebody on the spot. I thought about, was that too mean? But I don't care.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it.
You want me to?
Let's talk about favorite of the day for the ones that we are reviewing, as new paddles for you and I in the list. Let's start with that. What's your favorite of the day, Brent?
Sure. Yeah. I'll do a favorite and least favorite. I'm not afraid to poop on some paddles. Let's see. Favorite of the day. Gosh, there were so many. I would say, and I had to choose one, because choosing more than one I feel like is a cop-out. Probably go with the Gearbox GX2 Power Elongated as my favorite of this batch of paddles.
Oh yeah, we're on favorites. I thought my mind was fixated on least favorites. No. I was like, what the hell, Brent? Okay. Yeah.
That would be great if I did just...
Okay, all right, take back the what. Okay.
That'd be great if I just shit on your new main.
It's what the... Okay, all right. Oh, okay, all right. Brent's validated again. The GX2 Power Elongated.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, Brent.
That was my favorite of the day.
What's your one reason why it beats all the other paddles?
I think it has the feel that I really enjoy. That more softer pocketing dwell feel of a paddle. And it feels...
Yeah.
It felt pretty stable out of the box as well. So those two things together are, a big component of what I like in paddles, stability and that softer pocketing feel on it.
Yeah. I was really excited for you to try these, knowing what you like. Mm-hmm. You and I are kind of on the same wavelength there. The first time I hit it, I was like, yeah, Brent's going to like this. I hope Brent really gives this a try because he's going to love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't blame you. I think, I already mentioned my new main and therefore favorite is the GX2, the hybrid version. But so since I already said that, I'll pick a different favorite of the day. There's a lot. There's a couple close seconds. It's a close favorite of the day if I'm not counting the GX2 powers between the enhanced Gen 4.5, which is just a Gen 4 paddle.
It is, yeah.
You bastards naming it Gen 4.5. We all see what you're doing. But it's a tie between that and the 11SIX24 Vapor Alpha Pro Power. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about those a little bit more, but I think the enhanced Gen 4.5, super consistent, very similar to the Mark II R2 in terms of kind of an all-court-ish, aggressive all-court feel, very consistent, can control it well, but it still has power and big swings. And a similar thing for the Vapor Alpha power, except for it's got a little bit more dwell, a little bit more of that cushy feel that I like, but it's not lacking in the power when I swing big. So great paddles, I think, on those. Let's talk, Brent, about your least favorite of all of these paddles we're talking about today.
Yeah. Of the ones that I have, because you have a couple that I don't.
Yeah.
I would say my least favorite was probably the Refoam, the torch reach. And that's more personal preference. It's a thinner core. It's 13 millimeters. It does have the large cell core to help a little bit with making it feel a little softer maybe. But I thought that it felt it felt kind of harsh. Like I got a lot of feedback from it out of the box as well. It doesn't play great. Like you kind of have to add weight to it, at least in my opinion, to bump up some stability and bump up some power. But even with the weight on it, I still felt a lot more feedback on off-center shots than I like. So, you know, I just typically don't go for the thinner core paddles, and this one was no exception. It's just not really my thing. I respect what they're trying to do with being more sustainable, but just wasn't for me. Just too much feedback, too much of a thin feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was really curious what you were going to think about this one. For those who don't know, the swing weight on these suckers, it's got kind of a very Paddletech-like feel in terms of, like, I think it's kind of comparable to the Paddletech CX. Like, it's got a decently long handle, but it's a thin face with a larger cell size, so it's 10 millimeter cell size. We'll get into maybe some more details. We'll cover it briefly in its own thing, but the swing weight was 105, and the twist weight, I forget. Maybe I'll put it on screen. Maybe I won't, but it's also low. So they need weight. Like if you're gonna try these paddles, they're just not very stable without weight. And even with weight, it sounds like they weren't really your drive. Is that right?
No,
right?
I mean weight definitely helps, but even with I put a decent amount of weight on there, it still didn't, I don't know, improve the feel enough for me to really like it. So that's why, unfortunately, it will be my least favorite.
Yeah, that's fair. And there's actually a few of these that I wondered if they'd be your least favorite, knowing what you like. I knew that was a gamble. My least favorite, and it may have something to do with the fact that I just felt kind of let down by it, was the Ripple Refoam.
Why did I know that was coming? I felt like I knew that was coming.
Why did you know this was coming? Did you think I was not going to like this one?
I think you did say something in a text of like, it wasn't quite what you expected.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail, but you know, I took this out, and I really like Ronbus. Like as a company, I think they're a company among a slight margin that puts a lot of thought into their design and their tech, and I really like the look. They don't have a single paddle that I don't like the look of. Like I think it looks classy. Hitting it side by side, the other foam paddles that are available, and even the Ripple R5, which we'll talk about, didn't like it. It was stiff, didn't have a lot to offer. It was unstable. Specifically the R1, the R4 is a little better, but you know, maybe it'll grow on me, but right now it's a no. It's a no for me. I'll show the x-rays and stuff in the main thing. The R4 is better, like I'll say, but it just wasn't, I didn't like the feel. It just wasn't very pleasant. You know what I mean?
I can understand that. And I think we have slightly different takes on it, but I think we agree more than disagree on this one.
Yeah. I'll be interested. There's so many here that I'm like, God, I really don't know. Like, Brent could love or hate this. So let's do, before we get into it, so we got like a number of paddles we'll get more into detail on. Let's just cover a couple updates and upcoming releases. So our soonest launch is the aforementioned Enhance Gen 4.5, aka a Gen 4 paddle, all foam core. This launches the August 4th. So like a couple of days from whenever I assume this podcast releases. All foam core, $155. I don't know what Brent thinks of this. I'm looking forward to hearing what he thinks. Don't spill the beans yet, Brent. That's August 1st. Then, do I have any of the... Oh, wait, no. I do have one Harmony paddle here. So this launches on the 6th. Is that right?
If you say so. I don't know.
That's right, Brent. I like that. You know what? Good answer, Brent.
If you say so. I have a lot of practice using that line with my wife. You know, just like, I mean, if you say so, that works.
That's right, Brent. That's a great job being co-host, Brent. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the description. You know, like I'll put it on screen here, but there's no way I'm wrong. I think pretty sure this releases on the August 6th. Gen 3. We'll go over the dissection of it,
look at
which I'll
that.
show here. So I cut open the back of one of these. Got to see for myself. It is interesting. It's for sure one of a kind. It's a sub $200 paddle. So I should have a review of that. I think I'm planning on doing a full review of it. I think it's unique enough and good enough. I like it enough that I think I'll do a full review. Unless I die.
I'd agree with that.
In residency over the next couple of months.
Let's not. Residency can definitely kill you. I am also a fan of the Pickleball Apes Harmony, as has already been discussed.
I think now would be as good a time as ever, Brent, if you want to. So I left my. So Brent has already said that he's kind of going back and forth between the Pulse X and the Harmony X as his main. I left him my Pulse X when I left Chapel Hill, and there really hasn't been a whole lot that's changed since then. I think Ivan's had a bunch of beta models out for community testing to kind of test and test the durability and whatever. And to my knowledge, that hasn't been any reports so far. There's been a pretty good amount of time before release. No reports so far of core crushing, or maybe one or two people who feel like there's been a decent break-in. But I've had Brent over there putting significant time on the Pulse vs. Harmony X. Why don't you weigh in, Brent, on some differences, what your experience has been so far in the upcoming Harmony X versus the Pulse X?
Yeah. So the first couple of times I hit the Harmony X and just the Harmony series, I wasn't super impressed because I just love the feel of my broken in pulse, which feels different than a non-broken in pulse. But I put some more time in on it, and I think I was initially expecting like a Pulse version 2, and that's not quite what the Harmony is. So to me, the Harmony has the X that I've been hitting is slightly lower swing weight, slightly lower static weight than the Pulse X, and that's probably going to appeal to more people because the Pulse X came in at like 8.2-ish ounces stock and swing weight in the low 120s, which turns a lot of people off, and I can understand that. I think they were shooting for like around 8-ish, 8.1, 8.2 static and high teens on the swing weight, which is nice. I think the differences that I've noticed in the Harmony versus the Pulse is the Harmony feels a little, it doesn't feel quite as soft. It feels a little more stiff compared to like a broken in Pulse. That the broken in Pulse has that more pocketing feel. The Harmony has a bit more of a stiffer feel, more pop off of the face than the Pulse. And I think that's just, I don't really know what that's because of. Just the construction, the way that they don't have those three channels of foam anymore. So I like that it has a little bit more pop. It doesn't, to me, have quite as much power as the Pulse, a broken in Pulse. And let's see, power pop spins about the same to me. And I'd say the areas that I enjoy the Harmony on are, it doesn't pocket as much, which is kind of a con, but also a pro because my drives stay pretty low with that one now. It's a lot easier for me to keep my drives low. I think it feels a little more solid or stable as well versus the Pulse that feels, especially when it's broken in, it can kind of have a slightly hollow feel to it. And for me, the lower power doesn't really change much. It's still all court to all court leaning power. So it's not a big change from the Pulse X. I find it easier to like reset and take pace off of balls with the Pulse because it pockets a little better. And so I think it just depends on the day of like how I'm playing as to what paddle I prefer. But with the Pulse breaking in and like seemingly still like it hits a point where it's broken in, but I feel like it does continue to break in or continue to slightly change over the course of its life. It's not huge and it's not super noticeable, but I feel like it does slightly change. and whereas the Harmony, you kind of get what you got. It doesn't change a ton. I haven't noticed a huge change besides like normal amount of like softening that any paddle you would get kind of comes through. So yeah, that's my take on those paddles, and kind of comparing and contrasting and trying to decide which one I like the best. It depends on the day and depends on what you're looking for, really.
I agree with pretty much everything, actually. I think the minor differences, or minor to moderate differences in how it plays, as well as the major difference in, I think, people who buy a pulse, you get one of two pulses, and you want one of two pulses, a new pulse and a broken in pulse.
Yep.
I think people either like the way a new pulse feels, or they are either want or are searching for or prefer like the broken in pulse. With the X or with the Harmony, regardless of the shape, you get what you get. The construction is such. So I mean, compared to that 3-ring structure with the enclosed tubules that as the foam expands, they can potentially pop open, despite how much overlap they may or may not have. It just takes maybe more work to break in. This I'll include this in my review, but the new Harmony has these 4 foam segments here around the corner, and they don't serve so much to like encapsulate a floating core like maybe the Pulse does, or like a Yola does, or whatever does. They're like more stabilization. So there's nothing to break in here.
Yeah.
Unless the paddle breaks itself, like there's no core to become free flowing from like the perimeter foam. Like it's consistent. You buy a Harmony, you're going to get a Harmony. And if I'm picking up what you're putting down correctly, Brent, it doesn't sound like you've experienced significant change over time. Is that right?
Yeah. Nothing significant. Nothing like a Pulse break-in. Not even close. Just I feel like it's just like that normal break-in that every single paddle kind of goes through. That just kind of, you noticed a slight softening of the polypropylene components.
Yeah. I think that's fair, and I think that's exactly what Ivan and Pickleball Apes were going for with the new Harmony series. So I think it's a good adjunct. I'm not necessarily a replacement for the Pulse series. I forget the exact price. I'll put it on screen if I can remember. But what is it, like $180 after discount goes or something?
Yeah, I think they're the same price as the Pulse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, which in today's market is a very fair price.
Yeah.
It's one of the few like minority of, if you want to call it Gen 3 paddles, that I'm going to continue to recommend safely to people in the setting of like Gen 1 lasts a long time, Gen 4, most of them last a long time, most Gen 3s break. I feel pretty good that these are going to last a decent amount of time, and they feel good. They're still dampening. They're a little more, the Harmonies are a little more crisp, a little more poppy, but they're also maybe just a little more consistent than the Pulse series is.
Yep. Completely agree.
Cool. Those are coming out on the 6th. I'll most likely have a review unless I just overrun between now and then, which is very likely. And then I don't think you've had these, Brent, but this was previously the cheapest all-foam core paddle that we had to date. This is the Vatic V Core Powered. They had like a number of shapes: hybrid, elongated, and wide body. And I think the news is out by now that they've decided to withdraw like the production models of these. They had some, in-sun heat durability testing, and it wasn't up to the standards of Vatic. There was, I guess, I don't know the exact numbers or how they decided, but they decided to pull them from production and go back to, formula, try and get that core attached to the face because there was too much delamination and disbonding. Previously, those were going to be under $100.
Wow.
Which it would have by far been the cheapest Gen 4 all-foam paddle to date. I wanted to, what do you think about their decision to pull that from the market, Brent?
I think it's probably the right call, especially like they hadn't really released any to the public. So I think it was the right call to pull that and not, we've had a lot of paddle fiascos over the past year. I think it's a good call not to add another one to the list.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Vatic for doing that. I don't know how many, of their factory production model paddles or whatever made it through their process, but I'm sure that their decision to pull that from the market wasn't a cheap one for them.
Yeah.
But I can probably speak for consumers everywhere as a fellow poor person that I appreciate and commend their decision to hold off and go back to figuring out something that's going to be good for the people, and not break down, which is the whole concept of Gen 4. So good for you for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And not making the same mistakes that other companies that are much larger than you made.
Yeah. You're damn right about that. Speaking of which, I don't necessarily think that this falls in the same or a different bucket, but it's kind of a peculiar bucket in and of itself. So the GRUVN LAZR, mine, I'll pull mine out real quick. I think I've got it here. So this is the GRUVN all foam. I was like super pumped about this, especially for one, I really liked the original GRUVN LAZR, their Kevlar carbon fiber hybrid. I just think it looks like super slick and badass. The red and the blue. It was one of my favorite, all court and probably my favorite Kevlar paddle. People have been like raving about the Kevlar all foam LAZR. I think there was 20 units that were kind of rushed out and sent to reviewers. And those are the units that were sent to myself and John Q and Braden and, Matt's Pickleball, and anyone else that you've heard to this point talk about the GRUVN LAZR has talked about the same batch, presumably, that mine has, the 20 units that were kind of rushed through production. Now, so I've received a replacement as kind of a heads up to this one here. So I played like 1/3 of a game, maybe like 1/4 of a game, and almost immediately something was weird. Like it was playing, like it played well, was consistent, it had good power like a lot of people have heard, but I don't know if this will come through well like on the sound. But can you hear that at all on your end?
I can on my end, but it might pick up in the recording.
Yeah, it'll probably show up on screen here, but man, it sounds like disgusting, to be just like forthright about how it sounds. I haven't heard a sound like that since like my Legacy Pro delaminated.
Oh man.
Like back in, several years ago when they were just like dealing with core crushing and delamination for the first time. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like maybe 1/3 or 1/4 of the way through, like, game one of ever playing with this paddle, like an abrupt sound change. Like the people I was playing with said something about it and they were like, what's up with that paddle? It sounds busted. And I think it did break. I think it desponded from the core.
Oh, wow.
I talked to Kevin about it, who's the owner of GRUVN, and apparently in some of their earlier, pre-production models, as they were testing these, there were some problems with the Kevlar. And he thinks that some of these rush models were, because he rushed the factories to send some out to us, were somehow integrated and caught up in that, previous pre-production fiasco, which may or may not be true. But all I know right now, so I received my replacement today. I haven't hit with it yet. I'll probably hit with it tomorrow. All the reviewers who've reported on it so far have had paddles that are presumably from the same batch as mine. There's another reviewer. I won't say who it was because I don't know that they've released the video public, and I didn't ask him to tell us beforehand. So I won't say who it was, but he shared a video with us where he'd bounced the ball on one side of the paddle and the other side, and one side of the paddle sounded fine, and the other side sounded just like mine, like it was broken.
Wow.
Two very distinct sides. So clear problems with the GRUVN LAZR, at least the ones that I've received. Kevin feels like this issue's been resolved for the production models that are coming out. I can't say for sure. I haven't hit mine yet, and even at that, I'm at least skeptic, to be just very fair and transparent, of what the GRUVN LAZR, all foam is and what people are going to receive. So hopefully people get theirs and they're not what I had. But even if they are, Kevin's a good dude. If it breaks, I'm sure he'll take care of you. But just know that that's a possibility, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Excited to hear how your replacement plays and if you run into any issues with that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that GRUVN's a good company and Kevin's a good dude. So, like, I'll say that. There's no harm intended. And I think if he genuinely thought there was a problem, he would have stopped stuff. But we'll see. He doesn't think it, but I suspect... I'm suspicious. So we'll see what this new production model looks like. Okay. And then one more thing before we get into like our main paddle stuff. We got... Did you get these, Brent?
I did.
Did you get the new...
I did. Braden,
Pickleball effect stuff?
Braden hooked me up. Yeah.
Well, that's surprising. I told him you were dead to me. I said, forget about Bren. Who's Bren?
He doesn't need tungsten. He doesn't need it.
Yeah, so Pickleball Effect, they got new tungsten tape. They're calling it tuning tape.
Yeah.
And
I was wondering what that was.
I don't even know. What the hell is this? I don't know.
It looks, I guess it's not tungsten. Is it something else? Because it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's something else. I bet if I looked into it, we could figure it out. Yeah. But it's half the price of tungsten. It's still not lead, so it's non-toxic to whatever degree lead in edge tape or bars would be toxic. It's not that, and it's half the price. Like roughly, if you look at like the Pickleball Effect, whatever website, this is like $15 for a roll of this 0.5 gram per inch of tape. And the tungsten is like 25 roughly. Like before discounts, you can use, whatever discount code is your favorite. You can use the PB Med one. You can use Braden's own code. I'm sure the PB Effect discount code and get a discount. The one thing I will say, and not that I give a shit about you, Braden, you bastard. I like Braden. It's good. Everybody likes Braden.
He's a good guy.
Is that his tape genuinely is really good. It sticks really well. And if there's a complaint, aside from like just it being like pretty like moderate to high price, is that it sticks really well. Like if you decide you don't like it and you want to take it off, it's really sticky and it'll leave like a good amount of residue. But it's not your Amazon brand fall off, use like replace every other game. His stuff like is really high quality, so I can recommend like his tape in pretty good conscience. I don't know if he has the coin caps too. They go on the butt cap, which I've grown to become a fan of. Have you tried any of this stuff yet, Brent?
Yeah. So even before he sent me that stuff, I had tried the Pickleball Effect tungsten tape along with, the Amazon stuff. I even told him that I tried a Temu knockoff of it. It looks almost exactly like his tape. Like it's packaged pretty much the same way. And this was before I knew Braden, but I was like, yeah, I tried that. I've tried the Amazon knockoffs. I've tried magnetic tape, and I've tried other brands, tungsten, like Pickleball Central sells some, and someone else on Amazon that sells some. And I keep going back to the Pickleball Effect tape because of how well it sticks. Almost all the other brands, they don't hold up, especially when it gets really humid outside, and the adhesive just does not hold up. And Braden's, I've heard of people using the tungsten like multiple times because the adhesive is so good on it. Like they take it off one paddle and put it on another. I don't know how good it is as far as adhesive when you do that. Okay. But I have heard that some people have done that. I personally don't do that, but I always come back to his. So when I got the package of a bunch of tungsten from Pickleball Effect, I was like, yes. I was actually gonna reach out to him on Instagram like a couple of days before that and be like, hey, you got any like tungsten tape you can send me like at a discount? That would be great. And then like 2 days later, it just shows up. I'm like, score, sweet.
Yeah, I thought about messaging him and saying like, back the hell off, Braden. You don't need a fourth co-host. Like, Brett's mine, you bastard. No, there's like, so what I do, I usually use like the cheapest shit I can find for like the normal paddles that I test that I'm going to play a day or two with to like get a decent feel for. And then there's paddles that I really like, and that's what I use Braden's tape for because it's a bit higher quality. You get what you pay for. It's higher price.
I do the same.
Genuinely is. It's good stuff. You know what I mean? So if you got a paddle that you like, you can do no better. Like To just be straight up. I wish that it was my tape, but it's not. It's good stuff.
It is. I completely agree. Yeah, I use whatever is cheap and non-toxic for all the paddles that I'm testing out. But just like you, if there's one that I really like, I'm gonna throw some Pickleball Effect tungsten on there and go.
Yeah, because it'll stick forever, for better or worse, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's start from the top here. We got a number of paddles. We'll keep it brief and get right to the point, the main takeaways for our folks here.
Yeah.
From the top are Enhanced Pickleballs Gen 4.5. So this is a Gen 4 paddle. Its literal name is Gen 4.5. Those marketing bastards.
Just leaning into it.
Those sons of bitches. So this is an all-foam core. It's releasing on Friday. I do believe that with the renig of the Vatic V cores, this is now the cheapest Gen 4 all-foam core paddle. Is that right, Brent?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any that are for sure cheaper than this one. So this is $155 after the $20 discount code. Whatever is your favorite, PBMed will get you $20 off. Launches this Friday. I'll put an X-ray on screen here. So this is an EPP core, so expanded polypropylene. It's put in a mold with edge guard foam under heat, and it's expanded. It's got like a perimeter of foam on the outside, and then like a darker gray foam on the inside with some holes in the middle, taken out mostly for weight that kind of transition from like a circular shape to a more teardrop shape as you go towards the outside. And then I think one of the biggest features of the Enhanced Gen 0.5 is it's like particularly long handle in its elongated shape. An interesting paddle. I am genuinely not sure what you would think of this, and I'm super curious as to what your take was, Brent.
Yeah, and it's a sharp looking paddle too. Like it looks good.
It is.
That.
Do you like this? I wondered because I know Chris was saying he hated it. They called it like a NASCAR paddle.
Yeah,
I like NASCAR, and for two, it's not like everything else.
Right.
I really like the way that it looks.
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty sick. To be honest,
I could do without the giant E on the face.
You don't like this one, the E right there?
Yeah, I mean, make it a little smaller, but I like how it's different than other paddles out there.
Yeah, I like it. What'd you think of? Tell me more about what you thought.
Yeah, so I put a decent amount of time on this one, mainly because I was pretty surprised at how much I liked this paddle. I thought the feel of it was really nice. There's not a ton of feedback that you get. I guess that's from that full foam core that it's got. It felt relatively stable out of the box too. I think mine came in a little heavy, like 8.2 I think was my static weight. I did add just like 0.2 of tungsten to shore up the stability a bit and maybe give it a little bit more plow through, but not necessary. More personal preference. I liked this one. I guess the downside of it to me was it didn't quite have as much dwell as I was hoping for. I felt like it kind of left the paddle face pretty quickly, and so I had to adjust my strokes to especially with drives, to get them over the net because they just don't stay on the paddle as long as I was expecting them to. But as far as foam paddles go, I like this. I like this better than like the True Foam Genesis 1. It has more pop than that one, just as is, and it's more maneuverable than the True Foam as well. So I was a fan of this one. I thought about like using it more and maybe playing with it more. It just didn't quite have as much dwell and pocketing as what I typically go for, but I like a lot of dwell, so that's just me.
That's where I thought I wondered what you would think, because if you're thinking of foam in terms, I don't know, like Ripple or whatever, where you think like it's going to compress and pocket, it doesn't pocket that much. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, middle of the road dwell time. It's got like pretty consistent, like off the face, not a ton of dwell time, but not like crazy stiff. It's kind of like in the middle. It doesn't pocket like a pulse, like a pickleball apes, like what you're used to.
Right.
But it's the shape. I thought you'd really like the shape.
I do.
Like the handle is like what, like roughly 5.75 inches. And for a long handle paddle, it's not crazy head heavy. Mine had a swing weight of 117 and a twist weight of 613. So for an elongated shape paddle, and like, gosh, I so easily fit two hands on there. Like for tennis folks, like I don't even put like a finger up. Like you could put two hands on there like nobody's business, right? So like, I don't think it stands out in terms of like the ball's gonna blast off the face without you doing work, or it's like crazy ultimately stable, but it's so consistent. And I think it's just, it feels well constructed. Like every time, like I feel really confident in it, knowing that like I get out of it what I put in it. And the reach like from the handle is so good. Like taking it out of the air, I don't know if it's just like pure luck or if it's like by design, but I think the shape combined with the construction makes for a really consistent all court, maybe all court leaning power in terms of big strokes type paddle. The pop is low. The pop's not crazy high. It doesn't just like pop immediately off the face, but if you swing big, it's bigger power, which is usually kind of what I need. I play a little stiffer, so paddles that have like a really high pop, like the Paddle Techs and whatever, where like you get punished for being a little more tight. I get punished on. So this doesn't have that, but then I can still access the bigger power and swings. And the handle feels nice. There's not a lot of flex to it. I don't feel like I'm going to break it, but there's good reach. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're right. There's a lot of clearance on that paddle, on the handle and the grip to comfortably put two hands, no matter how big your hands are. And that's something that I liked as well with that paddle. And did you think it had more pop than like a carpet, like a True Foam 1, or no?
That's a good question. I think both have low pop, to be honest, but I think the difference is it's much more maneuverable and it's much lighter than the True Foam 1. To me, the True Foam 1, which is their like narrow elongated, and the True Foam 3, which is the wider elongated, in my opinion, those paddles are dead. Like in today's market, they're just the technology has been advanced beyond. I think the True Foam 2 and 4, which are their standard / wide body and their hybrid shape, are really good. I don't think their elongateds compete in terms of like performance combined with price. Maybe if they knocked $100 off to match the $155 of this paddle, maybe, but splitting hairs for $100 difference is not there for me. So I'd pick this well over the True Foam 1 or 3. You know what I mean?
No, I would too. I still maintain it has better pop than the True Foams.
Yeah.
But that could just be how it feels coming off the face as well to me. It feels a little more, a little more stiff, but not super stiff at all. And what a great value full foam paddle at $155 after code. That's a great paddle for that price. Seemingly the construction would last since it is full foam. I don't know, but I think that's a great deal as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to try, if I have time, to get a full like individual review out by Friday. It is at this time a Tuesday night. So we'll see how many consecutive hours I can go without sleep, and we'll go. But it deserves an individual review because of consistency, solid construction, and great price. I think a lot of players are going to play well with this, especially those who like two-handed backhands, like a lot of room. And if you like the look, which I do, I think it feels good. Yeah, it feels up my alley. I wish it had a little more dwell, maybe, but other than that, it feels really good. I can main this just fine. Yeah, it's probably my next favorite paddle of the day behind the gearboxes, which I was surprised at that. Yeah, and if that paddle was $100 more, if it was priced similarly to a True Foam,
then we're probably not having the same conversation. But at that price, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, for $155, you can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the 11SIX24 Alpha Pro Power. So these have been live for a little bit now. The difference is, so they've got all three shapes. This is the Pegasus shape, their wide body, which is a unique to 11SIX24 shape. They've got the Vapor Alpha Power, which is their unique hybrid shape, and then they've got the 𝒂𝒊𝒏, which all three are unique shapes. The difference is this has got the wide cell, 10 millimeter instead of 8 millimeter cell size, so a little bit larger, honeycombs in the core. They switched from the linear, I believe, fiberglass to like a woven fiberglass, which has a little bit more of a softer feel. But otherwise, the shape is the same, and the color looks a little bit different. And for this, you get, what is it? $30, $40 more dollars, something like that. So it's a little bit more expensive than the original, 11SIX24 Power series. But overall, you get a comparable construction for a more soft, compressive feel, a less harsh feel than what people experienced with the 11SIX24 Power. What'd you think of these, Brent?
Yeah, I had really high hopes for these because that was one of my main gripes with the 11SIX24 just original Power series, was that they were a little too crisp for me. They didn't have as much like pocketing and dwell as I was hoping for. So when I heard that they were coming out with an alpha, like taking their alpha and making it a power paddle, I was really excited. The large cell core, I think it's a black polypropylene core too, that's just generally a little softer than the white core.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they moved the fiberglass down a layer, I believe, to make it closer to the core and further away from the surface. I was expecting like a very noticeable difference in the amount of like pocketing and softness and dwell of the paddle, and I noticed some differences as compared to the original Power series in that regard, but not as much as I was expecting, which was a little bit of a letdown. I think these play very similarly to their original Power counterparts, with just slightly more soft pocket than the originals, but not super noticeable. I don't know, what did you think? Did you pick up on more of a difference on those?
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I think it's I think that's something that's the main point, right? Is that people think that the Alpha Pro Power, they expect it to be softer with more dwell time. So the question is it or is it not? And is it worth it to make the change? So I spent a decent amount of time on these different shapes. And one thing that I noticed is that if you go from the 𝒂𝒊𝒏 to, which is the elongated, it's a little bit more narrow. It's got a longer handle, so the proportionate face surface area is smaller, to the Vapor, which is their hybrid shape, a little bit more face, a little bit wider, to the Pegasus, which is their wide body shape. Excuse me. As you go from thinner and longer to wider, I think for whatever reason, the dwell time and the pocketing soft type feel gets larger.
Okay.
In my opinion, the 𝒂𝒂𝒏 to 𝒂𝒂𝒏, the Alpha Pro Power to the original 11SIX24 Power, it felt almost the same. Like, most people are not going to notice the difference. At least a new paddle to a new paddle, not significant, not worth the price increase. The Vapor, significant, like noticeable. I was like, okay, this is different. This feels good. And playing with the Pegasus, which I bet you didn't, because you're not a wide body guy.
I did not.
But I did, and it's important I did, because that's the widest shape. And again, I don't know why, but the physics of such made it so that the wide body shape of the Alpha Pro Power felt much more soft, much more dwelly. And I don't mean soft as in it lacked power. I mean soft as in it pocketed it more. It compressed, it recoiled, it launched, it trampolined, whatever you want to call it, more than the original 11SIX24 Powers. So as you go from narrow to wide, if you thought the Pegasus or the Vapor was almost what you wanted, but just a little too stiff, then the Alpha is going to be much better, and I think it could justify the price. The 𝒂𝒂 to 𝒂𝒂, you know, they're both fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're so close that most people are not going to notice a difference, you know?
Yeah, that's good to hear. I spent, no surprise, most of my time with the 𝒂𝒂. And yeah, it was hard to distinguish the difference. I would hit them side by side, and I couldn't tell much of a difference at all in that shape. I admittedly did not hit the Vapor and Pegasus much at all. So yeah, that's good to hear that you can notice it more in those that hybrid and the wide body shapes.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah, that's like, you know, if you were a wide body guy, the Pegasus would probably right up your alley. Man, it was so noticeable in there. Like I would say, like, they're not even the same paddle. The 𝒂𝒂s, I'd be like, why am I paying more for this? Like, this is the same. But the Pegasus is so different, and the Vapor is different enough that I think I would pay whatever, I don't know, was it like $30 more? I would pay more money for the feel, considering that I think that the Pro Powers have proved their durability to this point.
And then they extended the warranty on those, the Alpha.
Yeah, aren't the Alphas, like, they're a year now, right?
I think so. Right? Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, there's no reason to think that the Pro Powers aren't going to be the same as the Alphas in terms of durability, but, you know, for whatever reason, the Alphas have the extended, you know, full 1 year warranty. They're all going to last long.
Yeah,
that's the point with those.
I think the original 𝒂𝒂 Power, we let a bunch of people play with that, and it did not change much at all. That was one of the shining moments of that paddle. Was it's a Gen 3, and it seems to be well built and not break down after 2 months of use.
Yeah, they take pride in that, and as do I, as a person who recommends paddles. Like I don't give a flying crap if it plays like the best paddle in the world if it breaks in a month. Like, we're not pro players, especially not you. I mean, I might be close, but we're not pro players. We care that, like, our paddles last 6 months, a year, whatever. These last really good, so. I can only imagine the Alpha Powers are going to be the same. Yeah. And that's where part 1 sadly comes to an end. But Brent and I are going to film part 2 soon, which is going to include our take on the 𝒖𝒂𝒂 era wide body and elongated paddles. And you might be surprised to hear that we even got Brent to hit the new wide body Ripple R5, which I actually liked quite a bit. And that's opposed to the Refoams that I wasn't a super huge fan of, but we'll get more into that in the part 2. We've also got the 𝒂𝒂 𝒂𝒂𝒏 𝑔2 using supercritical foam. It's some interesting construction. We'll get into that next time. We'll also get more into a favorite of Brent and I, which are the GX2 powers. Got a couple of budget options here with the Onyx Hype X and the Onyx Hype X Pro. Two kind of different paddles. One I like, one is so-so. Can't forget the new Mark 1X R2. This is essentially the 10mm, 1X shape, long handle, overall hybrid, with the new design that the Mark II R2 has. We'll also talk about the 𝒖𝒂𝒄 𝒍𝒂𝒅𝒍𝒂𝒂𝒍 and probably a couple others that I don't have on me right now. But there is one we have that maybe we'll get a chance to play with before filming part 2, and that's the Selkirk Boomstick, the wide body and elongated versions. So hopefully we'll get that part 2 out to you soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.